Hi, this is Ron from POC Culture. Fiona, how are you?
Ron, I should be interviewing you because you've got a lovely Star Wars Andor logo behind you. I'm very impressed. I'm fine.
Yes, of course. We need to get you one as well, but nice to chat with you. My first question for you is just how you've experienced, Star Wars fandom so far. There are a few fans that are quite as passionate and intense as Star Wars fans. How's that been for you so far?
Well, I think it's just about to begin. Actually, I don't think it's quite taken off yet. But I mean, I think that I've enjoyed everything about it. I'm beginning to get a sense of how strongly people feel about the rights and wrongs of the people who inhabit the universe that Andor reflects. I'm very interested that the future always sort of reflects the present, and that something about the rights and wrongs of the world that we live in will be reflected in the way in which people view Andor. But there's something for everybody in it. It is a political universe that you can stand anywhere you feel like standing, but it explores oppression, and everybody feels it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. It definitely seems like a show that is so layered and multifaceted that there's something for everyone. Um, I really found your character fascinating. When I spoke with Audrey, she mentioned that Marva is an inspiration for Bix. And so being like a rebel before there was a rebellion. What more can you tell us about your character going into the series for fans to know?
Well, I think that it's worth knowing that Marva, has lived in Ferrix all her life and lived a very honorable life. I mean, she goes around the universe picking up pieces of metal from spaceships and sells them, recycles them. She then goes back and is a huge member of the community. And Bix, she's very kind to the young, she's very kind to the old. And then she herself gets old. She needs the help of the young. So she's a very valuable person, as there are many in our communities. Maybe they don't get enough of a shout out, but the people who really are steady in a community are very, very important. And I think Bix sees this and therefore is able to admire her. But she's not in any way aggrandizing, Marva. She's not trying to be in charge of anything. She just has the strength of moral rectitude, and she's not dominant. She is obviously very liberal in her thinking in relation to everybody, but she does try and keep them safe.
And I think that really comes through in your performance, of course, as the mother figure to Cassian. A lot of your scenes are with Diego Luna, who is so amazing. Could you speak about what it's like to work with him, and what in particular you enjoyed working together?
Well, Diego is, one of the most enchanting people on the planet. So, that can be said without any irony. He is just delightful, and he has that openness, and he's a fantastic actor. But we, of course, filmed this during lockdown, so it was really interesting to hardly know each other and yet to play these intense scenes. And I was thrilled to be part of it. His passion about the project, his passion about the moral ambivalence, his ability to play the moral ambivalence, his ability to be unvain about the faults of Cassian. I hope that I could match with, Marva is not the most charming person in the world, but she is certainly someone who understands what is right and what is wrong, and is, curmudgeonly, but is also ill and old. But she is his mother because, of course, she found him when he was 10 and has brought him up, adored him ever since. And I love that those scenes are in it. So we see Marva both young and we see her old. And I'm somewhere between. I play somebody much younger than me and much older than me.
I love that dynamic too of the storytelling of the different time frames. Um, you know, for both Diego and Tony Gilroy, this is a world they are familiar with. They played in already in Rogue One. So, was there anything when you came on board to that they helped kind of just more familiarize you with your relationships of the characters as well as the world that you're playing in?
Yes, I mean, I think Tony, has become a master of writing this universe. He knows it inside out. He knows everything about it. He always says, if you have any question, just ask me, because he knows the answer. He knows what they think, what they should think, what they might think. But it was really his total enthusiasm and expertise has allowed him to be interested in the textured emotional differences between people, in the texture, beat by beat changeability of us with each other. And so normally, a series such as this would have very defined lines of what is good and what is evil. And this he has been able to blur as if it were a Chekhov play. So it's a tremendous piece of writing and a tremendous thing to be part of.
And I really love that blurring the lines is it's just so much more realistic and resonating, I think, to audiences. You've talked about how Marva is steady and part of the community, which I think is really important. Were there any either real or fictional characters or people in your life who inspired your performance that you kind of drew inspiration from?
Well, I also think she has a symbolic value, that she is sort of in that way the elder of the Andor franchise, that she is a person who we haven't heard of before, who hasn't been important before, but suddenly we focus in on. And in that way, she sort of descended from all the great heroines like Clytemnestra or Medea, who are themselves quite anonymous people, but have been forced by history to come out and say what they believe in, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And so she comes from a very, very long tradition of I say strong women, but they're actually women who've been forced to be strong because the powers against them have been so heavy that they've emerged. So she's an emerging character, and in that way, but I know, of course, a few people in my life who I have based her on. And, it's also, it's Rosa Parks, saying, I will not sit in the back of the bus. It is all of those great people who were once anonymous but became famous because they stood up to something much bigger than themselves. It's an honor to play someone like that.
Oh, I love that so much. Fiona, thank you so much for your time. I have to slightly disagree. I found Marva quite charming. Congratulations
Oh,
on the
please
series.
disagree.